Big match day at Croke Park, a commonplace thing in league football. This is their 15th final. They've won 6 of those, the last as recently as 1987. Well, Kildare have never won the league. Indeed, they haven't been in the final since 1968. It was 10 years before that when Dublin and Kildare last met in the final. Dublin, of course, winning on that occasion. So the statistics stacked against Kildare today, but if the enthusiasm of their supporters was to count for anything, they'd surely sweep Dublin off the pitch. This afternoon's National Football League final then, and your commentator at Croke Park is Ger Canning.
No change is the order of the day for this first big final of the year. Dublin, however, make a number of positional switches among their forwards. Chief among these is the selection of Paul Curran on the 40, with Jack Sheedy moving to top of the right and Charlie Redmond positioned at wing forward. However, it's likely that Curran will augment their midfield this afternoon. And Kildare's impressive centre-field duo, Martin Lynch and Sean McGovern, are likely to be joined once again by number 13, Paul McLaughlin. McLaughlin in the semi-final was handed a roving commission, providing fodder for the two inside forwards, Darragh McKevitt and Jarlath Gilroy. The game's most impressive forward of late has been Dublin's Vinnie Murphy, whose entire league tally comes to 4 goals and 18 points. Opposing him this afternoon is John Crofton, who played on the last Kildare side to beat Dublin. Mind you, that was 12 years ago. And win or lose, it's been a good weekend for Dublin's fullback Kieran Welsh, who was married yesterday to Patty, and his teammates have reminded him that the honeymoon, of course, doesn't begin until after the match. The match referee is Damien Campbell from Fermanagh, and the National Football League is underway. And it's Dublin who are going to play from left to right in the first half. Dave Foran thumping one in. Jack Sheedy can't hold on to it, so it's Vinnie Murphy trying to stretch across to it, beaten for it over by Seamus Dowling. Picked up here by Charlie Redmond, cut by the shorts by Bill Sex. Challenged by Johnny MacDonald. Comes out here to Sean McGovern. Spills down. Paul Curran now should have a very influential match. Dubs the hot favourites, of course, to win here. It's the culmination of 6 months hard work by Dublin and Kildare. The championship may be their long-term objective, but the National League, their first target. And that's going to be a free kick. Young Glenn Ryan. It ends up being a sideline ball at the other end. Well, Colm O'Rourke, there's a magnificent atmosphere. 40,000 people plus, I suppose, in here. And a lot of pressure on a young Kildare team by and large.
Certainly is, but they've opened quite well and they're contesting very well around centre field.
That's Martin Lynch driving it down. McKennedy judging it well on his own 45-metre line. Dave Foran was calling for it. And there's Jarlath Gilroy trying to make it his. Instead, it's Mick Deegan for Dublin. Now the captain, Tommy Carr, trying to open up the Kildare back line. Jack Sheedy. Interesting to see exactly where he's going to operate on, because much of his football up to now has been in the half-forward line. That's Paddy O'Donoghue. Experienced pair. Out to Paul McLaughlin. Look where he is, back in his own 20-metre line already. He was given that one away. Gifted it to Paul Curran. Driving it in. First confrontation between full-back and full-forward. And there's a foul. A push by Murphy on John Crofton. So a free out to Kildare. Remember, it's Kildare's first league final for 23 years, whereas Dublin's 4th final in 5 years shows them to have by far the greater amount of experience of big match day here at Croke Park. Martin Lynch can't hold on to it, gets it the second time. Is pushed. Quite a few frees in the opening minutes of this game. So Bill Sachs then summing up his options. Experienced campaigner. Another experienced campaigner, Tommy Carr, beaten for that one. Dave Foran. Mick Deegan now trying to set something up for Dublin. Such a good attacking corner back. Towards Donald McCarthy, the judge. Judgment of the hop, however, by Davy Dalton. Falls rather unkindly for him. And it's brilliantly brought down here. And that's Paddy O'Donoghue doing some magnificent defending. Good composure by the back line. Curran applies some pressure again. Picked up here by Sean McGovern. His midfield partner is Martin Lynch. Excelled in the league campaign so far. They look for the pass inside. Declan Kerrigan towards Paul McLaughlin. Can Kildare go in front in this match? They've made something of a habit of going 6 or 7 points in arrears, and that was a very useful opening.
Great chance for Kildare to take the lead, especially after a great block down by Paddy O'Donoghue in his own back line to bring it through.
Back with the play. It's Kieran Walsh. McKennedy taking up a position on the right-hand side of the Dublin full-back line. Tommy Carl left-footed. Paddy O'Donoghue again cutting it out, showing all his experience. Now Paul McLaughlin, the rover. Curran tries to close him down. Support from Bill Sachs. A second shot on the target, and just as wide as the first one. So 5 minutes gone, still no score. Jarlath Gilroy. That looks a good one. Well directed. And Kildare have taken the lead. The Lily-Whites, saluted by a huge crowd of Kildare supporters here in Croke Park, go in front after 5 minutes play.
Great point from Jarlath Gilroy. Kildare after missing 2 chances before that, but that'll settle them down.
Now Paddy O'Donoghue really has impressed at centre-half back, but early days yet. Support from Tom Harris. McDeegan out in front of goal, doing well against Jarlath Gilroy. A low ball into the centre. Tommy Carr wasn't expecting it. Dave Foran held in possession by Martin Lynch. Fingertip on to Vinnie Murphy, seeking a rapid reply. Oh dear, it's a magnificent goal! Oh dear, I'm sure he was going for a point, but he's found the top right-hand corner of the net.
Well, when Vinnie Murphy gets possession here, he obviously goes for a point, and the ball drops low across the goals and right into the far corner. Very hard for Niall Connolly to have done anything with it.
I'll watch it from another angle.
Well, when Vinnie Murphy gets the ball, it's on his left foot, and he tries for a point, and it goes right into the top corner. The most interesting point of view is that Jack Sheedy is playing a normal centre-forward role now after about 5 minutes.
Well directed again, nice fielding by Martin Lynch. Remember, he was well positioned to intercept a long-range free in the semi-final as well against Donegal in the dying minutes of that game. It's across here towards Johnny MacDonald. Support from Seamus Dowling of Kildare. Kildare, who took the lead and now trail by 2 points. Paul Clark, such a cultured footballer. And just as we say that, the pass is intercepted by Declan Kerrigan. The free kick is going to go to Kildare. Here committing the foul. Glenn Ryan here. For many people, the man of the match in the semi-final win. Sending it nicely in towards Tom Harris. Tom Harris against Keith Barr. Driven invitingly forward for Darragh McEvitt. He lashed onto it all right. Got the measure of Kieran Walsh. Wasn't too far outside.
Well fielded by Tom Harris when it comes in. He puts it across to Darragh McEvitt. If he was able to hold it there, he was in for a goal, but when he pulled on it, he could have got a point.
He got those 2 very good late points, of course, in the game against Donegal. That effectively sealed Kildare's passage through to this final. A wild boot results in another Kildare free. Slight breeze favouring Kildare in the first half, as they build up with great purpose, and Sean McGovern going forward. Denied space, however, Paul Curran, dashing wing forward. That's intercepted by Glenn Ryan. Donald McCarthy calling for it, it's fisted away invitingly by Davy Dalton. Paul McLaughlin, a leisurely way, puts it forward towards Darragh McEvitt, who had very Little chance of containing that pass. One of a number of army officers performing in this match this afternoon. He's a PE student down in Limerick. Kieran Walsh giving it plenty of height. Huge leap in the air by Martin Lynch, but it comes down instead to Paul Clark. Tap forward to Vinnie Murphy. Again, trying to take the fullback out of position. Well, a more orthodox attempt at a point that time by Vinnie Murphy, which wasn't rewarded. It's Dublin's first wide against Kildare's 2. Tom Harris can't hold it once more. Instead, it's the other number 11, Curran. From the Leinster Club champions, Thomas Davis. Heary, who likes to go up and join the attack whenever possible. Well, the attempted solo run showed a bit too much of that to the Kildare man, Declan Kerrigan. Great fielding again by Davy Dalton. Sean McGovern takes up a lot of good positions. On this occasion, he's gone out over the sideline. Poor sideline ball. Paul Curran once again nipping in there to take possession. Waiting for Jack Sheedy to make a better angle for himself, and Seamus Dalton covered it expertly. Now Paul McLaughlin. A challenge coming in from the other Paul Clark. McLaughlin's back taking sideline kicks as well, when perhaps he could have left it for Bill Sex. Touch perhaps of inexperience of big match day just showing itself there. Carr. Guyden and McCarthy rather couldn't hold on to it. This is Niall Guyden. Paul Clark. Players calling for the ball inside. He has the confidence to kick it and strike over a fine point. Paul Clark then adding to his tally of a goal and 7 up to this in the league campaign.
Paul Clark getting it far out on the left, and he's a very accurate midfielder. Always gets a couple of points in every game, and from 30 yards it puts it straight over.
Mick Kennedy, you'll have gathered, has followed Paul McLaughlin out around the middle of the field. McLaughlin making a burst forward now to try and be in at the end of a possible pass from Johnny MacDonald here. Against Tommy Carr. Punted forward. Martin Lynch. So much expected from him. MacDonald once again, who initiated the move. Now can he finish it off? Stopped in his tracks over there by Tommy Carr. Support from Eamon Heary. The fight for possession over there between Paddy O'Donoghue and Paul Curran. Nick O'Dwyer you see in the background there with the Kildare team of selectors. He's done a really marvellous job, of course, to bring his team through to this national final. He's boosted the hope and confidence of a great footballing county. Football support may have been lying dormant for some years, but it's certainly come alive in the past 6 months. Martin Lynch. Knocking one on brilliantly to Darragh McKevitt, the team captain. Striking with his left boot, accurately so. And there's another one. Kildare's second point has come from the team captain from Naas, Darragh McKevitt.
In that case, Martin Lynch was trying to put a long ball right in across the top, but Darragh McKevitt catches and kicks a great point.
Member of the Naas team that won the county senior football title for the first time in almost 6 decades last year. And there's an old belief around County Kildare that the county team was never going to be good until Naas won the senior title. Mick O'Dwyer up on his feet across on the far side. Having a very quick word here with number 5, Glenn Ryan. Ball booted in. Keith Barr beaten for it by Tom Harris, but waiting there, showing good alertness, Kieran Walsh. And that's the push by Seamus Dowling, which is penalised by referee Damien Campbell of Fermanagh. Keith Barr driving one in towards Charlie Redmond. Didn't score in the last match against Roscommon in the semi-final, trying to get by Bill Sex. Held by Bill Sex, and that's going to be a free of 15 metres out. So it gives Jack Sheedy, who's been one of the real finds for Paddy Cullen's team this year, a chance to kick over another Dublin score. It's come off the post and it's gone wide. The Chase for possession in midfield is interesting. It comes down to Sean McGovern. Look where Seamus Dowling is, the left corner back, sucked in towards the half-back line. Keith Barr chasing forward. That's Paul Clark, elegantly kicking and stylishly putting it over the crossbar, and he's got a second. He's having a really fine year, Paul Clark, excelling in the league campaign to date. Dave Foran is beaten for it as that ball is fisted on by Tom Harris. McKennedy towards Vinnie Murphy, superb handling. Glue-like fingers, he held onto it, but the pass intercepted by Bill Sex. 30 metres out from his own goal, into the centre again, a very congested centre. It breaks onto Tom Harris. Getting by Eamon Heary's would-be challenge. Darragh McKemmett opening up the play on the right-hand side. Taking Kieran Walsh out of position. Perhaps there's a gap in there, which they might well exploit. Oh, it's a great save by John O'Leary of Charlotte Gilroy. There was a gap, there was a shot, but there was a fantastic save.
A great chance for Kildare here to get a goal, and a brilliant save by John O'Leary, out very fast.
Yeah, one of the saves of the season so far by John O'Leary. Now Paul McLaughlin nonchalantly knocking it forward into the path of Darragh McKemmett, who's really started to move away from the full forward position, which is suiting Dublin in a way because they are bringing men forward like Tommy Carr here. Here he is now 45 metres out from the Kildare posts, across towards Donald McCarthy's wing. Trying to get by David Dalton's challenge. Good block down, but it falls nicely for Vinnie Murphy, and he adds to the goal that he got in the 6.5 minute. All the Dublin scores so far coming from play, indeed. The entire set of scores in the match coming from play.
The ball comes from a bad pass by Darragh McKemmett, which went right across the pitch, and Vinnie Murphy picks it up very quick on his left foot. He can kick with either foot and straight over.
Sean McGovern picking it out of that very congested midfield area. Paddy O'Donoghue. High would-be challenge there on Declan Kerrigan's face. Referee has spotted it. Free taken quickly to Tom Harris, who's unmarked. Dublin slow and getting back goal side. Dave Foran, the nearest man to him, getting it onto his right foot and striking it over. There's a goal between the teams again. "19 minutes into the first half. Sideline ball for Kildare, who trailed by a goal, won 3 to 3 points. Paul McLaughlin, players calling for it. One of them is Johnny MacDonald, who's gone across onto the right-hand side, now inside to Declan Kerrigan. Fouled by Eamon Heary. That's the 20-metre line. So this 26-year-old Army lieutenant attached to the Cavalry Corps in Fermoy, looking for his 24th point of the league campaign. And this is 8th match, and he's done exactly that. And there are 2 between them, and the flags are raised proudly around the stands. And Mick Galvin has come into the Dublin attack in place of Donald McCarthy, who didn't really impress in the opening 20 minutes. So the Dublin management prepared to take action and take it fast. Heary, nicely inside. Paul Curran, a little unfortunate not to be able to hold on to that one, but take credit as well to Paddy O'Donoghue. Top forward to Mick Galvin. He makes his presence felt. Got over the bar. So very near to being in the top of the left-hand corner of that goal. It's gone over. And that looks like Bill Sex, who's down there injured and in need of attention.
Bill Sex was caught in possession there on a fair shoulder from Jack Sheedy, and then the ball broke loose to Mick Galvin, who, even though he's only on a minute, has stuck it over very nicely.
So Bill Sex happily back on his feet. Word of encouragement from Mick O'Dwyer, and the game can continue. Niall Connolly conceded that rather fluke goal to Vinnie Murphy early in this match, and was a little unlucky as well in the semi-final to slip as he was kicking the ball out against Donegal, which also resulted in a goal concession. Keith Barr here, held in possession by Tom Harris. Kerry came into the Dublin panel back around 1987, but missed that year's league final victory over Mick O'Dwyer's Kerry. Declan Kerrigan Martin Lynch dodging around McKennedy's challenge. Dublin persisting with McKennedy doing a following job on Paul McLaughlin. This breaks in nicely for Jarlath Gilroy. Still trying to steal inside. Blocked down by Mick Deegan. It was a good block down, and it falls out to Paul Clark. Not out of danger yet. The shot coming ranging in here. And MacDonald was rather unlucky. On a couple of occasions, Dublin leading a charmed existence. That was Deegan who made the very good block down that last time. And of course we remember that fine save by John O'Leary. So a lively first half here. And even though they took the lead, Kildare, by tradition now they like to come from behind, it seems. McGalvin taking it round Glenn Ryan, at least attempting to. And referee Damien Campbell well positioned. So Jack Sheedy. The wind seems to have turned around. It's a rather contrary breeze here at times in Croke Park. Seems to be supporting him on this occasion, and he's made the most of it with his first point of the match, his second attempted free, and that one converted. The race for possession again in midfield. Kildare needing maybe another score before half-time. We're now into injury time. You'll recall that injury we had in the first half to Bill Sex, which delayed play for perhaps more than a minute. Crofton to Bill Sex. Seamus Dowling says, let it into me. Driving it forwards towards Darragh McEmmett, waiting, nobody making a mistake, however, in the back line. Least of all, Tommy Carr read it expertly. Got there ahead of Jarlath Gilroy. Closed down now by Darragh McEmmett. Mick Deegan waiting for it. But there's the good understanding that Dublin have forged in this league campaign under the management of Paddy Cullen. And this is Eamon Heary. He may be left half back, but he's in the right half forward position. And he fouls the ball. Free kick. It was looking such a good build-up right from the back until Heary committed the indiscretion. Sex. Driven back down. Jarlath Gilroy picking it up. Well, in the latter stages of the semi-final, those were going over. We've had a lot of frees, it must be noted, in the first half as well, 22 in all. And finally, referee Damien Campbell terminating an interesting first half. Dublin dominating. Vinnie Murphy getting something of a fortunate goal after 6.5 minutes, deceiving goalkeeper Niall Connolly. And so the teams going in at half-time, the management, I'm sure, will have lots to say to their respective charges. Dublin that little bit happier, 1-5 to 4 points at half-time. Ryan comes in for the injured Bill Sex, and in that first half, the referee allowed 32 minutes to elapse before blowing the whistle, but in actual fact we only had 17 minutes and 18 seconds of actual play as such. Let's hope it's a little better in the second half. Paddy O'Donoghue there for a Kildare side who trail at half-time by 1-5 to 4 points, now attacking the goal on our right. Martin Lynch moving in with purpose, taking a tumble, however, over the legs of Mick Kennedy. And Damien Campbell signals the free into Kildare. This to cut it back to just a 1-goal difference. So Paul McLaughlin with the normally trusty left boot, hoping to add to the 1 point from a free he got in the first half. And that will do nicely.
Jack Sheedy has been a normal centre forward role now when Paddy O'Donoghue is on him, and Shea Dowling is picking up Paul Curran. Sean Ryan on Charlie Redmond.
Sean, a player of vast experience in the Kildare colours. This is Paddy O'Donoghue. Moving forward. Denied, however, by Jack Sheedy. The trip by Jack Sheedy left the boot in a bit long. The foul there on Johnny MacDonald. Quite a pace merchant himself, MacDonald, if he manages to get the opportunity to get loose. Short then to Declan Kerrigan. Back to McLaughlin. Well, they might well have hit it from the ground initially, because it came to naught in the end. comes down between Martin Lynch. There were very few clean catches in that first half. We noted just about 3 in all. And Kildare persisted with 4- and 5-man passing movements. Our statistician counted 6 in all that really yielded fairly poor dividend in the end. Jack Sheedy then getting away from Paddy O'Donoghue. I'd imagine that the confrontation facing Paddy O'Donoghue for the second half is one he'd be quite happy with against Jack Sheedy. 2 strong men. Vinnie Murphy taking it back with Guyden going in, getting the fist to it, but outside. Dublin's 4th wide, their first of the second half.
Very dangerous ball across the goals from Vinnie Murphy, giving the advantage to the forward coming in, and Niall Guyden getting up very high but not able to direct it.
Out to Keith Barr. I thought Harris did well against Keith Barr in the first half. Vinnie Murphy, despite the dive, it comes into the safe hands of John Crofton, the Sarsfields man. Up towards Dara McKevitt against Kieran Welch. Knocked on to Paul McLaughlin. Mick Kennedy sees that McLaughlin took more than the 4 steps with it, and Dublin awarded the free out. An important 4 weeks coming up for Mick Kennedy and his men today with the league final, and then that all-important opening championship tie here against Meath on June the 2nd. So it could be a make-or-break time for Dublin these next 4 weeks. This is Glenn Ryan charging forward. Keith Barr trying to get goal side of him. It's still Ryan, brilliantly blocked down. That's again the full-back, Kieran Walsh. Guyden. Good link man in this team, Niall Guyden. Heary. Outside for Mick Galvin to run onto the substitute in the first half against Davy Dalton. Ends up being possession for the Metropolitans. Tommy Carr the taker. Into space, Niall Guyden trying to get onto it. Charlie Redmond yet to score in this match. Getting by the attention of Sean Ryan. Stopped on the goal line by Niall Connolly. Sun blazing into his eyes for the second half. Sean McGovern. A goal in it, remember. Dublin 1-5, Kildare 5 points. Early stages of the second half. Comes out here to Niall Guyden from Charlie Redmond, steadying himself, but he's put it wide. Guyden not having the best of luck so far in this match. He's already seen Donald McCarthy substituted in this game, and of course both of them substituted in the penultimate match of this league campaign. Sean McGovern fists it on. Keith Barr breaks it up. A strong man at the heart of this magnificent half-back line. Heary. Kicked into space, but a real hit-and-hope one. John Crofton winning the race there against Vinnie Murphy. Paddy O'Donoghue. The foul noted on this occasion. Dublin have been preparing a substitute, and that is the familiar figure of Kieran Duff, who I should imagine will be coming in fairly soon. And Guyden here might well be the one who will be coming off. Murphy. Day Foran calling for it. Lashing it forward into space. Mick Galvin trying to contain that pass against Sean Ryan. Did well. Now on the end line, trying to create an angle for himself. He's fouled. And so the free will be from the 13-metre line. Galvin doing his business well, holding on to that one. That's Jim Brogan there, along with Paddy Cullen. So it's target practice for Jack Sheedy. Got 1 point in the first half from a free. And he's tapped it safely over the bar. Meanwhile, Kieran Duff across on the far side, still preparing to make his entry into this league final. The hop favours Tom Harris. Paul Carr trying to get back in front of him. Harris knocking it across, but only as far as the very vigilant and alert Mick Deegan. He reads the game so well. Good long lengthy ball down to the 2-man attack. Mick Galvin and Vinnie Murphy, and it's John Crofton who's read that situation well. The pass doesn't go anywhere, however, except as far as Charlie Redmond on the 45-metre line, knocking one in towards Jack Sheedy. the bar. Goodness me. Jack Sheedy hit it instinctively, but couldn't keep it down. A third point for him when it might have been a second goal.
A great ball in from Charlie Redmond. Jack Sheedy had run about 50 yards to get into that position, and a lovely flick. It could have been a goal.
Brilliantly fetched by Martin Lynch. Inside for Kerrigan. Dowling in a very advanced position. Hit with the left boot. Oh, comes off the crossbar. Very unlucky. Back down to Jarlath Gilroy. Fisted, and it's touched over by John O'Leary. Well, so near it yet so far. They get the point. It's a consolation score, but they might well have had a goal.
Shea Dowling is very far forward because Paul Curran is drawing him out, and an instinctive left foot shot which comes back off the bar, and Jarlath Gilroy does something that not too many players in football have learned to do since this new rule was introduced, and punches it back over the bar despite John O'Leary being about a foot over the crossbar.
This is Declan Kerrigan fisting it on here to Paul McLaughlin. Players calling for it inside. Still McLaughlin trying to get it on the left boot. Stopped by John O'Leary. Outside to Mick Deegan. Well, what of the breeze here, Colm in Croke Park? It's always very difficult to determine where exactly it's blowing and who exactly it's favouring.
Yeah, it looks today as if it's not favouring anybody.
Mick Galvin takes a tumble. Davy Dalton right beside him. Dublin today looking for their 7th league success. Well, he's got the range once again, Jack Sheedy, for his 4th point in all, and 3 of those have come from frees.
Change on the Kildare team there sees Darren McEvitt now at right half forward, and Declan Kerrigan has gone in full forward.
So we'll see how these changes materialise and how they affect the course of the game as Tom Harris takes the free quickly. Driven deep, Kieran Walsh, who's had a very good season in my book so far. Kieran Walsh, he's maybe unspectacular but very sound. Keith Barr, taken by Davy Dalton, chest high. Into the centre it goes towards Declan Kerrigan. Kerrigan coming from the right half forward position, trying to go around Eamon Heary, who was swinging around at him head high. Nothing particularly malicious.
And this
the Dublin save a little while ago here.
Yes,
Paul McLaughlin.
Paul McLaughlin should have probably taken his point a fraction earlier and then got blocked down.
Well, he has the chance now, and he's missed it again. The free taking is not working out in the second half. 3 wides in the second half. Sean McGovern beaten for it by Paul Clark. Fisted outside, doing the sensible thing, getting support there from Charlie Redmond. Driven into space. Paddy O'Donoghue facing his own end line, but still does well, commanding. Fouled by Jack Sheedy. That's brilliantly fielded by Sean McGovern. Martin Lynch taking the pass. Belting it in with great accuracy. Put it over the bar, and there's a goal and a point between the teams once more. It's been a good second half for the midfield of Kildare, with McGovern and Lynch doing well. Incidentally, it's the exact same pairing as met the last time these sides met. That was an early round championship match. Dave Foran and Paul Clark lined up against Martin Lynch and Sean McGovern down in Newbridge. Lynch loses it on this occasion, but backed up by Glenn Ryan, tenaciously cutting it forward. He's got support from Darren McEvitt, now as you heard, moved down around the 40. Oh, that was a high challenge to the face of Glenn Ryan, and Keith Barr has already been booked. He complains that it was his shoulder. Mick O'Dwyer is racing in, he's remonstrating with the referee, he's now going across to try and attend to the injured player. Keith Barr says, that was my shoulder, it was a perfectly fair shoulder. He's been sent off.
Well, the ball is given through here by Glenn Ryan, and takes it back Keith Barr coming out very fast. No, I don't think he raised his elbow at all there, but he caught him under the chin, and he had been already booked.
This is a pressure kick now for Kildare, and Paul McLaughlin from 35 metres out, and it goes off the post and it's gone wide. Paddy Cullen, meanwhile, is on the field. The referee may have whistled up before that kick came in and may want the kick retaken, because Paddy Cullen was on the field, hadn't distributed the piece of paper to signal Dublin's intentions of making the change. Remember, it's 1-8 for Dublin, 7 points for Kildare, and the kick may well be retaken now by Paul McLaughlin. So he's had a little practice at it. So this is a very important one. That's his angle, 35 metres out. He does it a little bit better the second time to boost his confidence. His third point from a free in this game, and there's just a goal in it. And the Kildare fans around Croke Park really now believe, I think, that their team is in with a real chance. A positional switch, by the way, has been made in the Dublin half-back line, and Paul Curran has now gone back centre half-back in place of Keith Barr. Dave Foran, meanwhile, waiting in midfield. 10 minutes to go. It's all the makings now of an engaging last 10 minutes. Dublin blowing a little bit hot and cold, hence the substitutions in attack. Kieran Duff adjudged to have been pushed. Free kick, which McKennedy is preparing to come out and take. Well, if Dublin were to win a penalty in this match, guess who the man who was going to take the penalty was going to be? Keith Barr. Put it up Charlie Redmond, that. Comes out here nicely. That's short, Seamus Dowling. The push on Darragh McEvitt. Free kick taken quickly, too quickly by Glenn Ryan. And the referee says play on. Didn't matter that they weren't the requisite distance back. Seamus Dowling driven in towards Paul McLaughlin for the Lily Whites. Against the favourites from Dublin. Tom Harris here, 45 metres out, shouldered perfectly fairly by Paul Clark. The Dublin defence coming out en masse. McLaughlin inside towards Kerrigan. Back to McLaughlin, trying to steady himself. Dublin trying to invite him into overholding. Passes inside to Kerrigan, outside the 20-metre line. Free in. There may well be just two between them after this. And there's plenty of time remaining. So Paul McLaughlin, who has to make the long journey from Fermoy up to Newbridge for training several times a week, and he's done that all through the winter, to take this free kick. Two between them. Dublin 1-8, Kildare 9 points. Martin Lynch, meanwhile, knocked into space. That's Eamon Heary. And, oh, there's a fight going on the far side. A very ugly looking incident developing and quickly defused. Some of the Croke Park officials moving in there to ensure that order is restored and common sense prevailed. Well, it's hotting up considerably following that sending off. That is Martin Lynch over there, the 20-year-old student in Athlone. Dublin conceding 14 frees so far in the second half, and Mick O'Dwyer and his team hoping to capitalise a bit more on it. I think he realises now they're really in with a big chance of lifting their first National League trophy. A tall order for a team that came up from Division 3 just 12 months ago. This is Seamus Dowling, the free man. Fisted away by Mick Kennedy. Could have gone anywhere. Instead, it goes into the arms of Mick Deegan. A real little pickpocket of a player. Out here it goes to Paul Curran. Knocked into space, but they're really hitting the ball hopefully, and Paddy O'Donoghue was mopping it up. Kerrigan, back to Paul McLaughlin. Driven in. There's the minimum in this game. McLaughlin defiantly raises that left fist. His 5th point of the match, and now there's just a solitary point in it. And this was the movement just a second ago, and McLaughlin kicked it truly under a little bit of pressure and straight over the crossbar. Meanwhile, back in the centre, can Kildare's fitness, their perhaps superior fitness, prevail on this occasion? Martin Lynch. This is Declan Kerrigan. inside towards Sean McGovern. They're going the long way towards goal. It's Dowling, the free man, who eventually got in that half shot. Paul Curran there, grabbing it outside his own 30-metre line. Curran outside to Mick Kennedy. Dublin holding on by a solitary point, 1-8 to 10 points. 6 minutes remaining, brilliantly fetched by Glenn Ryan. Ryan, who was the player fouled by Keith Barr, which resulted in the sending off. Kicking one in, but a little bit wayward in his finishing on this occasion. Well, it's quite a tense contest, as you'll gather.
Seamus Dowling is playing the role of the extra man very well. He's pushing forward, whereas most spare men tend to lie back, but he's coming forward and he's causing problems.
Indeed, it's been said down the years that so many teams don't really know how to use that extra man. We've seen it in All-Ireland finals, and now we're seeing it in a National League final, and Kildare, the ones with the extra man, using it well, as you say, so far. Paul Clark belted invitingly down. Glenn Ryan is on the ground momentarily. He's picked himself off the ground. Meanwhile, play continues. Not anymore, it doesn't. The referee judging that Kieran Duff picked that one off the ground. Paddy O'Donoghue wants it back quickly. That's a very poor free kick, straight to Charlie Redmond. He may make them pay for that. Intercepted by Glenn Ryan magnificently. Outside to Jarlath Gilroy. The race on here with Paul Curran. He'll have to dispatch it quickly. The referee allowing him something of a leeway. That's Mick Kennedy. It's a little bit scrappy where the purity of the game's concerned, but there's no mistaking the tension. And now Mick O'Dwyer preparing to make a substitution. That looks like Noel Donlan. We'll just wait to confirm it in a moment. This would be some achievement if he could pull it off. But right now, it's Dublin who lead by a point. Tom Harris, carrying the weight and expectations of an entire county. On to McEvitt, off the post, and agonisingly wide. Oh dear me. They're on the edges of their seats. There's tears in that lady's eyes, I think. Very clean, very little clean fetching in the centre of the field. That's Davy Dalton who's pushed forward. Seamus Dowling, the free man, overhit, and John O'Leary was very fortunate that that was misdirected.
Well, again, Shea Dowling, the spare man, getting the ball, letting it in. I don't think there was any danger, but John O'Leary probably has some great memories of that goal anyway, and it was going 5 yards wide.
Noel Donlan over there trying to dispossess Tommy Carr. Still managed to get in his clearance. Under it there. Sean Ryan keeping the attack going. Jarlath Gilroy. Panic stations now. They look for that equalising point. Paul McLaughlin, they can't foul him. He will be the free taker. There's the shot. And it goes harmlessly wide in the end. Noel Donlan explaining it all away. The tension mounting for Mick O'Dwyer, who I'm sure will be very pleased with his side's performance overall, but could they pull it out yet? They've been the better team in the second half. Paddy O'Donoghue. Seamus Dowling. Up towards Paul McLaughlin. Dropped but recovered by Kieran Walsh. Man who was celebrating the honeymoon at the end of all of this. That's a giveaway ball, however, by Dave Foran. Nipping in there was Sean McGovern. Shea Dowling trying to take it in his tracks. Booted away from goal by Kieran Walsh. Down it goes to Jack Sheedy, crossing the 65-metre line. A point here might well ensure Dublin's victory. Jack Sheedy in the clear. They try to close him down, and Sean Ryan does so, and concedes what I think is the game's first 45 late in the match. Dublin may well have only scored 3 points in a rather subdued second half for them, where they faced a lot of pressure from a very lively and game Kildare team, who are not just coming here to make up the numbers. They watch as Sheedy shapes up to this 45. It goes well wide. Dublin with just 7 wides in all in this match. Kildare had 11. So now it's discretionary time. Damien Campbell calling for the ball to be kicked out. Dublin leading by a point, remember. Is there one last chance for the Lily Whites? Sean McGovern would like to think so. There was a bit of stoppage time, of course, when Keith Barr was put off the field. Mick Deegan trying to nip in here, supported by Tommy Carr. Magnificent defenders. Left-footed outside towards Vinnie Murphy. John Crofton lets it behind. It runs on over there. And that's Jack Sheedy trying to round Paddy O'Donoghue. Kieran Duff was waiting for it. Again, a couple of valuable seconds will be used up here. Jack Sheedy, the injured party.
Again, Kildare had a great chance on one side, and a beautiful flick from Vinnie Murphy put Jack Sheedy clear. And Paddy O'Donoghue wrestling with him from behind, not able to get in front to make a decent tackle. A lot of steps taken by Jack Sheedy before Paddy O'Donoghue even tackled him.
He may well have twisted the ankle. Lord Mayor Donnelly, of course, of Dublin, already looks happy, ready to celebrate a Dublin success. It will be Dublin's first league victory for 4 years. They beat Kildare in 1987, or beat Kerry, I should say, in 1987. And Kildare looked like being the victims this afternoon. Vinnie Murphy, a goal and a point to his credit. Waits inside as Charlie Redmond prepares to take this free for Dublin. He's hit it well. Charlie's put it over the bar. What a time to get your first point of the match. It may well be the point that would ensure Dublin's victory. That it is, because the referee has called for the ball, and it's the Dublin fans and the Dublin players who are in celebratory mood. Dublin's 7th league success was a very hard-fought one. They battled gamely with them reduced to 14 players. A first real triumph for Paddy Cullen, Pat O'Neill, Jim Brogan and Fran Ryder, the Dublin management team. Disappointment for Mick O'Dwyer, who will take a lot of encouragement from a fine Kildare performance. They lose in the end by 2 points. Final score was Dublin 1-9. That's 12 points. Kildare 10. So Peter Quinn, GA president, makes the presentation. The National League Cup goes to Dublin. The kiss of the cup. A captain by name, a captain by nature. A proud day for Tommy Carr.
Well, it was a great performance, I suppose, from a Kildare point of view. From a Dublin point of view, they won it, and we lost it, I think. We let it slip in the finish. We had the chances, and I think a little bit of inexperience cost us the game in the finish. But overall, it was a marvellous display from that Kildare team, who came, you could say, from the realms of the 3rd division. And what I liked about them today, they showed great fighting qualities. Today, again, we conceded the usual soft goal early on in the game, and we fought back and came back really. And you know, it was just luck went against us on this occasion. In the last 3 games, we pulled through by pints. This year, the bit of luck went against us. And you know, Darren McKevitt hit the upright, came off the crossbar, and there was a few more just went wide. You know, we could have been in there. It could have been a draw. I think a draw would have been a great result, because I think another game would have been great, and I think people all over the country would love to see another game again between Kildare and Dublin, because that was fabulous football today.
Paddy Cullen, that was a very satisfactory win from your point of view, but it was tough in the end.
Yeah, well, it was what we expected, Ger. During the week, I was telling the lads, and for the last few weeks, that it's going to be championship-style football, and that's exactly what happened. And there was really only a kick of a ball in it. I'm very happy to get out with the win. I thought it was a very gutsy performance on our behalf. I thought Kildare could have won it. So it was one of those days. It just happened for us.
Overall, it was a hugely enjoyable game of football.
Was it? I can't really say that, because you don't really get involved in the game when you're sitting in the dugout. You're watching this, that and the other. But from what I could gather, it was a very good game of football. And I think Kildare have shown and surprised an awful lot of people in their play and their style of play.
The National League is always hard to win, because you have to be consistent all the time. Today's game obviously was a difficult game for us. Kildare stuck with us all the way, but it's good to come out on top. I think it would have done us an awful lot of harm if we had been beaten, more so than doing us an awful lot of good by winning.
I don't know about turning points in the match, but you got a fairly fortunate goal after about 6.5 minutes.
Yeah, well, it was fortunate, okay, yeah, but I don't think it was really a turning point of the match. I think it set the trend for the game, where Kildare ended up, we'll say, chasing the game for most of the period, until they finally nearly caught up with it with 5 minutes to go, but we had the legs to go back and get another point and leave a bit of a cushion at the end.
Mick, just how tough was that one?
Very tough. but we didn't expect anything else. Kildare very, very fit, very eager, and as I said, like, we expected a really tough game. It was real championship football.
But you were installed as hot favourites. They'd been saying, like, OK, Kildare had done well, but they hadn't made the dubs yet.
Yeah, but it wasn't us that installed ourselves as hot favourites, you know. Like, we knew Kildare were coming out to win the game, and it was a great game to win. As we knew, like, it was going to be a real championship, and that's the way it turned out.
John, from your position in goal, those last 15 minutes must have seemed like an eternity. Your backs were really to the wall.
They certainly were. I mean, having gone a man down, Kildare were just coming at us, you know, constantly. The ball seemed to be going out and come back in just as quick. But it was great defending. I mean, that's what 14-man teams tend to do, is they defend like madmen. And we did it today. And, you know, every time we got an opportunity to get a hand in, get a leg in, a foot in, whatever it was, we did it.
What about that save in the first half? Probably one of the turning points of the match.
Yeah, well, I suppose you can look back and say it was, especially when there was only 2 points in the end. If a goal got in, we might have been beat. But, I mean, it was early on. You know, the Kildare fella got the ball and took his chance, and lucky enough I did what I'm supposed to do.
John, not just for that save, but for your general play. You've been awarded with the Royal Ivor Man of the Match Award. To make the presentation to you now, Peter Ketley, Vice Chairman of the Royal Ivor Assurance.
Congratulations, John, on receiving the Royal Ivor, the Man of the Match Award.
Thanks very much, Peter.
Great match.
Thank you.
Yes, another great performance by John O'Leary and the Dublin Goals, who just seems to get better with age. What a fine game of football that was, setting the standard, hopefully, for the new season. Well, you've seen the action, you've heard what some of the players and mentors have had to say, but what are the facts and figures of this final? Well, let's find out. Well, now, while there were no major stoppages during today's game, the referee added almost 5 minutes of additional time. However, the actual time the ball was in motion was just over 34 minutes. Now, a total of 47 frees accounted for the loss of almost half an hour's playing time. Dublin were the main culprits, conceding 29 to Kildare's 18. Now, as Kildare pressed home the advantage of the extra man, they couldn't put this on the scoreboard, shooting 11 wides, 7 of those in the second half. And Dublin were perhaps more accurate, shooting just 7 wides. But one of the most noticeable aspects of today's game was the few clean catches throughout, and here the spoils, well, they were more or less evenly shared. Well, those are the facts and figures of the match. But how did our Sunday game expert interpret what he saw at Croke Park this afternoon? Now, I remind you that our new football analyst on the programme is Meath forward Colm O'Rourke. Colm, you're very welcome.
Thank
you.
Obviously
you looked at this with a special interest. 2 of your Leinster Championship opponents, one of them definitely, and maybe another one in action today. Did you see anything there today to frighten you?
Well, I hope the 2 of them are our opponents this year, but Dublin definitely on June the 2nd. And we're never frightened by Dublin. We have great respect for them, and Dublin played very well for long stretches of the game today, but in the last 10 minutes when Kildare came at them, Kildare probably should have snatched at least a draw from it.
Now, we all know Dublin pretty well at this stage, but as a player, I just want to see what you think of this Kildare side, because there's all been the hype in the media, the enthusiasm of the supporters. People have been looking and talking about Kildare and Mick O'Dwyer. Did they do as well today as you expected them to do, or was there some disappointing aspects?
Well, I didn't expect them to win, to be quite honest with you. But Kildare played very well, and in a tight game like that, I suppose Dublin had 7 wides, Kildare had 11, and that was really the difference between it. I think a draw would have been a fair enough result, because Kildare dominated most of the second half, especially after Keith Barr was sent off. And they played good, intelligent football most of the time. And I think it's a tribute to Mick O'Dwyer that a team can come back from being beaten early on the Leinster Championship last year, from the lower division in the National League, and come through to the final and put up such a good performance.
Well, of course, as in any game, there are always turning points in the match. There were those today. We're going to have a look at some of those, Colm. And the first one is Kildare's free-taking, which I'm afraid was not all that they would have wished it to be themselves.
Well, in any tight match, if you have a good free-taker, you'll probably squeeze through. And I suppose during the last few years, Meath have won matches with Brian Stafford kicking frees that squeezed us through by maybe a point or 2. And in the second half in particular, Kildare had 3 or 4 chances, and if they had to get 1 of those or 2 of those, they would have been drinking from the cup tonight. So I think that Kildare will probably be looking to have a big improvement on their free taking before the Leinster Championship, because no team can afford to be without an absolute expert free taker for championship matches.
Mind you, one very positive aspect, I thought anyway, of Kildare's play today was the way they moved the ball around, and it was very much characteristic, of course, of Mick O'Dwyer and of the Kerry teams, particularly of the 70s, but I know you thought that they overdid it quite a bit.
Well, Kildare got a lot of possession around midfield, and they were playing a two-man full forward line most of the time, yet they played the ball short quite a lot, and I don't think it'd be possible to copy the Kerry team because they always had men in support. But Kildare played the ball around a little bit too much when they could have got it forward faster. And
I suppose that's inexperience in itself, though.
There's no doubt about that, it's inexperience. I think that if Dublin had as much possession as Kildare had in similar circumstances, they wouldn't have let them off the hook.
Here was a perfect example now. Possession lost and Dublin break up the field.
Yes, well, that was only about 5 minutes to go, and Kildare needed the point. They were only one behind. The ball went loose. It was over-elaboration on their part, and Jack Sheedy got upfield. Sean Ryan made a great block, but the ball went out wide. It was a 50. It took a half a minute. The same thing happened on the kick-out. Kildare went downfield. A bad pass again, a bad punch pass, and Dublin came back up. Jack Sheedy was fouled, and they got the final insurance point from it.
I suppose probably the least favourite Dublin man in Kildare this evening has to be John O'Leary. Another fine game today, 2 crucial saves. We're going to have a look at one of those in a moment, but he really played superbly, and it might have made all the difference.
Well, in the beginning when Kildare were pressing and they could have had 2 goals, John O'Leary made 2 fantastic saves. The first one in particular was a great save, and when you see it, the thing that was most important about it, I think, if you see it now, when he actually made the save, he was out about 7 or 8 yards from the goal. He advanced very, very quickly. Goal for Kildare at that time would have set them alight.
Sure.
And you can see there, he's out very, very far, out covering the kick straight away.
That's why he's there, and he certainly played his part with excellence today. Colin, thank you very much for joining us in the programme. We look forward to seeing more of you during the season. Well, over the last few weeks, there's been a lot of talk about the GAA's recent decision to allow sponsorship onto players' jerseys. Now, some felt that it would compromise the dignity of the games, while others felt that the additional revenue would be very useful in the preparation and administration of the teams. Well, the whole issue hit the headlines in a big way during the week as Dublin and their backers parted company after a disagreement, the Dubs subsequently announcing a new sponsorship deal. Last weekend, Kildare announced details of their new sponsorship, and the marketing manager of the company is a man not normally associated with Gaelic games, because that's Philip Matthews, captain of Ireland's rugby team, who spoke to us during the week, and we first asked him if sponsorship in sport is a good thing.
I do once it helps the sport. I think people's views, those people who are fairly conservative and don't really want to see things change, their views have to be respected. But if we can bring them along slowly and show them there's nothing to fear in that, and that sponsorship can be a good thing and can help fund training and what have you, and a little bit more security financially for local teams, then I think we can all live together. Certainly sponsors are going to benefit as we feel we are benefiting in this association, and I know that Kildare are benefiting as well.
As captain of the Irish rugby team, Philip, is this a gesture of ecumenism, or is it your marketing manager here?
That's right.
Do you think, is there any conflict of interest between trying to get supporters for rugby and trying to get supporters for GAA?
Oh, not at all. I think at the end of the day we're all sportsmen. There's one thing that always impresses me about the Irish public: they're great sports people in general. They're not just soccer, not just football or hurling, and not just rugby. If there's an international event on anywhere, that they're interested in watching it and interested in supporting Ireland, and that's one thing that I think is quite unique to the Irish people. I know my experiences in the UK and other countries, people tend to follow one sport or another, but in Ireland that's not the case, and the Irish people should be proud of that, and I don't see any conflict at all.
My own feeling is there's about 10 teams in the country, excluding Cork and Dublin, that I think would put a price tag of about 50,000 over a 3-year period. And I think Cork, being dual champions in Dublin, would probably double that figure. Another interesting way of putting it, I think, would be that per year is about the equivalent of 5 30-second ads in RTE1, just at the break coming up.
Well, that sponsorship issue